Welcome to Silent Symptoms, a Black mental health podcast. I am your host, Katasso Fridge, a Florida-based therapist. This podcast focuses on mental health, stigmas, and social injustices that affect the Black community. This podcast was created to bring awareness about mental health and can be used as an educational guide, but this is not to be used as a replacement for seeking help from a therapist. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hi, welcome to Silent Symptoms, a Black mental health podcast. I'm Katasso Fridge, and today I have Khia Glover. So Khia, please introduce yourself to the people.
Hello. Hi, my name is Khia, as you said, and I am a licensed master social worker working on that clinical.
Yeah.
And I am a therapist. I also do crisis counseling for middle school students and parent coaching, as well as individual mental health coaching, and then speak all over about mental health. So.
Yeah. And you also have a podcast, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, tell them what it is.
Yeah, so Notes by Khia, the podcast where we talk specifically about children's mental health, and I throw in adults' mental health in there as well, because obviously the parents, it's important for them to know things for themselves as well, but mostly I tie it into how it impacts children's mental health.
Okay. So this is perfect for me because I always want to enlighten people about how their behaviors affect their children, and sometimes parents don't even know that or feel like, children are just there to exist and not really have those feelings. So what is mindful parenting, since this is your realm?
Yeah, I focus a lot on mindful parenting, mostly kind of for what you said, is that everything we do impacts the children and their mental health. So I describe mindful parenting to people as thinking beyond the now, because we get frustrated. We say all kinds of things in the moment when things are happening, but we have to think, okay, how is this going to impact them in the future? And how can we make that positive on the other end?
Okay, so this is something that you do to kind of educate the parents. Do you do it collaboratively with the children there, or they do it separately?
So I do it collaboratively with the children there, and here's why. Because I've worked with children and families in different realms for over 10 years, and a lot of people, like when I say that, they're like, "What?" Yeah, it's been through teaching and all kinds of different things, therapy over the years, case management, through several different realms. And what I've seen consistently is a lot of times parents will bring and say, "Hey, come fix my kid," right? And then I talk to the kid and they're like, "Yeah, but my mom does da, 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 and that's what's affecting me." So then what I do is I come in and I come in the middle and help them meet in the middle, because sometimes it's like, well, I mean, you do kind of have to clean your room and get good grades. Like, that's kind of how this works. But at the same time, Mom, if you want that to happen and he's saying, "I hate when you yell at me," then you probably need to figure out a different way to have a conversation with them or to communicate with them so that they're not feeling down and all of that all the time. And you'll see the improvements that you want.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that too, because I've worked with children in all kinds of realms, and I was actually working children's substance abuse and in case management and providing therapy for Department of Children and Services. So a lot of that is prevalent in that department, because a lot of times, the kids are to blame. And then when you look at the impact there is, especially socioeconomical impacts, you look at their home life, it's like, why are you stealing? They're not just stealing just to steal today. They stole because they haven't had a meal, or they took something, or they're running away all the time because they're running away more than likely from the things that they're being exposed to in their household.
Exactly.
And parents try to get away from that, and I always say, it's not just the child. Let's look at what role can you play in this, and what role do you already play in this, because it is a collaboration between the two in order for the kids to be successful, because obviously it started somewhere, and most of the time it's learned behavior too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remind parents all the time that Their time with you is a foundation. So
Mm,
we grow and we learn from other environments that we're in, other people have influence, but our parents and the way that we view and interact with the world around us, it starts with the parents, it starts at
mhm,
home. So even though we have all these other influences, and sometimes parents are like, well, why did they pick that up from over there? Well, because there's something in the household that they're
mhm.
like, this don't really function right.
Right,
I see this working for them over there. So I'm going to do that way.
right.
And, but it all starts at home.
Yeah, it is. So, what have you seen in your practice, like the common mistakes that parents make?
Ooh, the number one is probably not listening to them.
Mm,
And it's like they have feelings and emotions. And a lot of times I'll hear parents say things like, you're a kid. What do you have to be stressed about? Well, how about you ask them
yeah, thank
what
you.
they're stressing about?
Yes,
Because that's super important, and understand that because they're like, oh, well, you don't pay bills. So what do you have to stress about? I'm like,
right,
well, let's look at this because are bills the only thing that you stress about? No,
right.
they're stressing, they have school, they
Mm-hmm,
have different peers and teachers that may not always treat them kindly. They, even though they shouldn't necessarily stress about things going on in the home, like bills and things like that,
yeah,
if they see a reason or even think, because sometimes their mind just kind of goes way further than maybe what it should, but
hmm,
they can't help it. They're learning about the world around them. And
right.
so sometimes it's different things like that in the house that you think, oh, that's for the adults to worry about, but they see it. They're not dumb. They see it. And so they do worry about those things.
Yeah, that's important right there. Listening, and children are meant to be seen and not heard. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my. I think that is the biggest mistake too that that
Yeah.
parents make, because it's like, yeah, I mean, they hear you talking about, the potential of being evicted, and you say, "Oh, what are you stressed
Right.
about? You just living here."
Exactly.
But it's like having to be uprooted from their environment, or being treated poorly in the home. That's why they're stressing out, or some of the stressful situations that they experience. And a lot of
Yeah.
people actually talk about being bullied in middle school and in elementary school,
Hmm.
and parents have no idea. They think that like those are the glory years. And I'm like, no, like kids have
No.
things to stress about, and kids are
Yeah.
really mean.
Yeah, they
So,
are.
and this is the time to actually create that positive relationship with your children in order for you to see that positive outcome that you're looking for. Listen and talk to your children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then
Exactly.
that would be one. Do you have another one that they might make a mistake about? I mean, I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah,
Overall is
right.
listening.
Absolutely. That definitely is the number one thing. But then also understand, I think parents forget what it was like to be a kid.
Mm,
And for me, because I would say things like, well, when I have kids, I'm not going to do this, this, this. And
yeah.
people's response would be, oh, you just wait. You're going to learn
Ah,
and see. And I was like,
mm-hmm.
oh, no, no, no,
Not
I'm not
me.
taking that. I'm not taking that.
Mm-mm.
So I would literally pray, Lord,
Mm-hmm.
help me to remember what it was like to
Mm-hmm.
be a kid and all these things I said I would never do.
Yes.
And like sometimes just put yourself in their shoes and understand like how would you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times the way that I connect that with parents is if your supervisor talked to you and treated you the way that you do your child, how
Mm-hmm.
long would you be at that job? And how happy would you be about
Mm.
what's happening?
Yeah.
Because if your
And
boss is yelling at you all the time, never giving you praise or recognition for
nothing.
anything that you do,
Yeah.
what would happen? You'd be gone. You'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm not putting up with this.
Exactly. And it'll be like, I'm done. I'm not happy here, and I'm just gonna act out. Maybe I'll show up to work late, or maybe if I do this and try to see you. Or, sometimes kids overcompensate with their parents just to get that validation that they're looking for. And when it never comes, they go elsewhere for that.
Yep.
And then parents are like, oh, where did I go wrong? Well, let's start here. Let's look
Yeah.
at the list of things that you have missed, and typically they're signs and symptoms before they actually go out. So how does parents who have dealt with trauma affect the children? Because parents think, we all good, but I know that in some capacity it does.
Yeah, I actually, my last podcast episode was about that, like healing yourself
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that you're not putting that onto the children, because trauma impacts everything. It
Mm-hmm.
impacts the way that we think about ourselves, about the world around us, about people, whether we can trust people or not. It impacts the way that we speak to people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might be reacting to a trauma trigger,
Mm.
but your child is the
Yes.
one dealing with how you reacted to that.
Mm.
So maybe there's something, and it could have been, it doesn't have to be this huge, like big ordeal kind of event for it
Mm-hmm.
to be trauma. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of also like what we need to understand is that anything could cause trauma, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe your child is doing something that your sibling used to do that would bother you, right? But
Mm-hmm.
because you haven't dealt with that or gotten over it, you're reacting to them as if they're your sibling. Well, they're not.
Yeah.
They're your child.
Reality check.
So you have
Reality check.
to, yes, absolutely check yourself. Um, it could also be, oh, I'm trying to think of like specific examples, but there are so many ways because we do put our stuff on our child. The way that we view ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
the way that we've experienced the world is what we present to them. And then you're
Yeah.
teaching them, like, if you don't trust people because of your trauma, what are you going to teach
Oh
your children?
my. Yeah, and I see that one a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
see that one entirely too much. It's like, well, you can't be around these people because when I was growing up, these people used to
Yep.
do this, that, and the third. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, you're in a different environment. You were living in a different time. Allow your child to
Yes.
explore the world as they see it. Oh, when I was in school, I didn't do this, so my child has to do this, and they need to
Uh-huh.
have this career. So we're too busy
Yes.
projecting what we didn't get or what we wanted to
Exactly.
get, period, onto our
Mhm.
children, and then it's just too much. And you see that a lot in Black communities
Oh,
because of the lack
yeah.
of opportunities that we've had.
Absolutely. My grandma was big on that. So
Mm-hmm.
for her, because
Mm-hmm.
of her experiences, what she saw, and all of that, she didn't like when we would spend the night over people's houses. And
Mm.
every single time we had to hear this, I don't think you should be doing that. And you need to be careful. And da 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 da
Mm-hmm.
da. And I'm
Yeah.
like, can I please just go enjoy being at my friend's house? Like,
Yeah.
and I understand that that's a reality, that
Mm-hmm.
anything can happen.
It can.
But if you're projecting that onto the child, like, can they just enjoy? Like, yes, you teach them, okay, these are the boundaries that we set,
Mm-hmm.
but can you just let them just have
Be
fun with
make
it?
their own
Yeah,
decisions. And I just wanted
exactly.
to say this on the record: parents, allow your children to have a voice. I had a
Mhm.
podcast last year, the year before, about allowing your children to have a voice, because they're just not robots or any type of mechanism that you could tell what to do. It's like, allow them to have choices. Number one, that's when you're going to see the most success. Provide those choices, and then make them feel like they're a part of the process of who they're becoming as an
Mhm.
individual. We get
Yeah.
lost in trying to make sure our children are so perfect that we actually end up harming them or traumatizing and causing that resentment that we don't need. The very thing that you're trying to escape is what you're bringing into your household.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad that you said that about choices. And I
Yeah.
often connect that for parents with anxiety and being
Yeah.
able to make good decisions.
Hmm.
So when it's, I make the choices because I pay the bills or whatever kind of
Hmm.
power struggle that you're having there.
Yep.
Um,
The usual. The
yeah.
usual.
Then when they're older,
Yeah.
they struggle with making decisions,
Woo.
and it causes this big, like, anxiety provoking kind of thing.
Yes.
And you're failing them. So, a part of mindful parenting is starting when they are as young as you can start, 1, 2,
Mhm.
um, really even before that, giving them choices.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where the foundation starts. And
Mhm.
it also impacts self-esteem, like, oh, my
Mhm.
choice matters. I get
Yeah.
to choose what's good for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes. So
Mhm.
maybe it's choosing their clothes in the morning or choosing which pair of shoes they wear. And a lot of
Yeah.
parents are like, oh, well, they don't know the difference between the weather outside. Well, then get two weather appropriate choices and
Yes.
allow them to pick this one or that one.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about like providing. I went through this with actually a parent that is like her son is 20 years old and she's still trying to make
Mhm.
choices for him because this is what she wants him to do. I'm like, he has degrees. He's hated everything that he's done. You're trying to make him go
Wow.
to a HBCU. You are trying to make him do all of these things that he's not comfortable doing. I said, okay, you want him to be successful? Can you come up with a plan of 4 choices so he can know? Because all of this time you've been trying to make him
Mhm.
do what you want to do. Because the last thing you want him to do is to go to an HBCU and not go to class because he's not in your
Right.
household. So
Yeah.
give him a choice. What does he like to do? Explore that with him. Like, what boundaries have you set with him? What things are
Yeah.
you not going to allow in your house, but at the same time, still incorporating his wants and his needs in order for him to be successful? And he's tired
Exactly.
of school because you made him graduate at 16. And all these things
Wow.
that come with, trying to be a great parent, but
Mhm.
in the long run, it kind of comes back and it's too much to kind of handle from a standpoint of a child that becomes an adult who just wants to be at home because they had to fill
Yeah.
this big role.
Exactly. And remembering they're not going to be a child forever.
Mhm.
And where do these skills come from? They're not
Yeah.
going to magically appear at
Mhm.
18.
Right.
And it's funny that you brought up that client because I have a client that's almost opposite, where the mom has
Mhm.
made all these decisions for him and
Mhm.
done everything for him.
Mhm.
And now she's like, but he can't make no decisions. Well, where did you teach him how?
Yeah.
Where did you teach him
Yeah.
that it was okay
Mhm.
to make a decision and to learn how to be comfortable with whatever decision he made? Whether it was good or bad, you learn a lesson or it goes great. Like either way.
Yeah.
But now you're bringing them to me,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Fix
you
them.
did this.
Fix them. Yeah. So it's like it's always that fix me up. I want you to make sure that my child is done and perfect after that. But what can you say to parents so that they can foster a positive relationship with their children or child?
Always think relationship first
Hmm.
and have an open relationship. And I think that's where a lot of Black families struggle
Hmm.
is we're scared to talk about certain things, but
Hmm.
giving them the space to talk about whatever it is and not being
Hmm.
scared to have those conversations is
Hmm.
going to build a great relationship. And being mindful, like it goes all back to that, is how am I treating them?
Right.
What kind of person am I showing them that they are by the
Hmm.
way that I speak to them and
Hmm.
interact with them?
Yeah.
Um, do things together. And it doesn't have to be anything like extravagant and cost a lot of money,
Hmm.
but hey, let's all stay in the house and watch a movie tonight. Let's play
Hmm.
a game. What would you like to do? Like, and putting it back in those choices.
Yes, absolutely. What would you like to do? And that's part of the whole process of being collaborative and parenting and having that relationship. And also, like, I think that parents can have a role in how children, become adults. They have a huge, huge impact because childhood trauma
Mhm.
goes all the way into relationships and it
Yeah.
tangles everything up. And people are wondering, oh, I've always been this way. Well, it's not acceptable. It's because your childhood was not good. And let's
Yeah.
resolve that first. And then we can
Yeah.
resolve your relationship that you're in or the situation that you're in. And I think that too, you're right. Like making them have a choice and see what they like. And also incorporating what you like as a parent because they
Yeah.
get to know you more. It's about learning one another.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that we forget sometimes. So how can parents empower their children because this one right here is so important. We forget, and we have to do better in empowering, especially in the Black community. Can we show affection?
Right. Hello.
Can we show
Yes.
affection?
Just
And this is
little.
yeah, we can.
Yeah. So empowering, I try to use affirmations as much as possible. And people
Mhm.
make fun because I do it with all my friends and everything too. So
Yeah.
my dad was in brother-in-law, like they were all helping me move, and I'm like, you are so strong, thank you
Yeah.
so much. And they're like, ugh, but I'm like, no, like that's what I do all the time. So
Mhm.
um try to implement more compliments than telling them what they didn't do right. Or if you are always telling them, clean up your room, clean the dishes, do this, do this, do this, well, I need you to go add about 3 affirmations to everything that you just said.
Mm.
Always tell people there's a couple things that you should be always telling your children. Thank you,
Mhm.
which I get a lot of pushback on that one because they're like, well, that's what they're supposed to do. Oh, okay. But how good does it feel to you to
Yeah.
hear thank you? And we go back to that supervisor situation. If you were doing all these things, you went above and beyond, or even just doing your everyday job, they don't have to say thank you. They don't have to give you any kind of appreciation. You get
Mhm.
a check, right?
Yeah.
But how much better does it feel when someone goes out of their way to say, you know what? Thank you so much for being here and doing what you do and contributing.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
if they took out the trash without you having to ask, or even if you asked and they
Mhm.
did it the first time,
Mhm.
thank you for doing that. Thank you for
Yeah.
responding to what I asked you to do.
Yeah.
Um, or if they, especially if they did it without you having to say anything, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Um, I love you. That should definitely be something that said multiple times every day, I think.
Yeah.
And that is a part of affection as well. And I don't know why we're so uncomfortable with even just saying I love you and things like that, but
Yeah. And
there
I've seen
there
it
it
a
is.
lot in Black moms saying, telling their sons that. It's so different, and they say they think they struggle, and it's like some is intentional, some is unintentional, where I've heard like, well, he's growing up now, I don't need to tell him I love him,
Yes.
he knows I love him. And it's like, no, he wants to hear that so that
Yeah.
he could choose the right women that he wants to be with, and
Yes.
he knows that he matters, and then he needs to feel empowered that he is a king, and he needs to know that like everything around me is positive, not negative, or I have to assume
Yeah.
what love looks like so he can know what it is,
Absolutely.
you know?
And, and saying you're doing a great job. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's that they're getting all A's and they've been doing it for so long that you just come to expect it. But you
Mm-hmm.
never know, like do those check-ins and things. And you know what? You're doing really great. It sounds like this class has been a little hard for you, but you're still pulling these grades. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is, expressing to them how you feel positively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Mm-hmm.
that will empower them so much. Kids want to please their parents, regardless of
Right.
what you might get from society or whatever. They really do. And they want to, and that's why kids tend to rebel and, oh, daddy issues, mommy issues, all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. It's because they wanted to please you in the beginning. Like that's really what it goes back to.
Mm-hmm.
And so just acknowledging them and the good things they're doing, because it's easy to pinpoint, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, your grades are
Mm-hmm.
falling, I had to tell you 18 times, you're always on your phone. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
all
can
the
we
they have
throw
a
some
laundry.
positives in there?
Yeah, we want to hear that. Like we want to hear that, and the kids need it even as an adult. Like we like to be affirmed sometimes because we don't want to feel like everything that we've done is all in vain. We want to make sure that it's positive, and the people like our boss saying, "Oh, you're doing an amazing job." It's like, oh, "Okay, that's good." So it motivates you to do more, and when your parents recognize that, you want to do more for them. You're more than likely to do things where they don't have to ask you 18 times. They ask you once or
Exactly.
twice, and you could get the result. It's called reverse psychology, parents. Reverse
Yeah.
psychology.
Yeah.
Treat your kids with respect and how they want to be treated. You'll get what you want.
Yeah. And it's okay to treat
Yeah.
your kids with respect. Like, I just need to reiterate that like 1 or 2 times, that it's not just about them respecting us, it's us respecting them as well, because they're human. They are
Yeah.
people too, and they have feelings and all of this that sometimes get overlooked, but acknowledging that is going to make a world of difference in your relationship, how they respect you. You know, we say all the time in the Black community, you got to give respect to get it, but you
Yeah,
think that that doesn't apply to your kids, but it does.
it does.
So when
Absolutely.
you're talking to them crazy, why do you think they're going to follow your rules? Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Please
even make
stop cursing
sense.
at your kids.
Right.
That's the number one thing that irritates me with parents. Stop cursing at your kids.
Yeah.
It's just like the number one thing. It's like, you're not going to get a positive result. Yes, it's cute. People say as adults, like, yeah, my mama used to curse me out. It's like, why is that even okay? Why are we doing this in the Black community? Just damaging our children and damaging ourselves in the long run. Because, and even though you're strong, you're a good parent and you're doing all that you can for your kids, doesn't give you the right to curse them out when they don't listen to you. It causes more stress, and then there goes the parent guilt there that you have to sit with, but you refuse to apologize. Now what?
Yeah. Apologize to them.
Apologize to your children and give them respect, because that is not okay. And you know, that's just going to only foster a positive relationship when they're able to be forgiving human beings. And I think that the reason why all of this is happening, it ultimately is like leading up to adulthood. Whatever they see now, it's going to roll over into adulthood.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I mean by thinking beyond the now, thinking beyond today and what's going on in that particular moment. Like, because it goes into adulthood, how they respond and interact with other people, all of that, like every single thing, it has an effect.
It does. And how can people find you or reach out to you? And thank you so much for coming on and enlightening us about, you know, mindful parenting, and how can people reach out to you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed our conversation. So I am at Notes by Khia on pretty much everything, Instagram, Facebook. I do have a parenting group. That's link for that is in my bio on Instagram. And then the podcast, Notes by Khia too. So, and then my website is notesbykhia.com.
So everything is Notes by Khia, Khia. So go ahead and follow her, show her some love, and thank you so much for being here with us, okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. You can catch us on Anchor and all your favorite media streams. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Silent Symptoms Podcast. Let us know if you have any feedback or topics that you would like to hear.